Hello everyone, welcome to Design 105. This is page layout tools, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up our screen so we can get going with our lecture. So I wanted to get a feel for how many of you are familiar with InDesign or the Adobe Suite. Do you guys have any, are you guys comfortable with InDesign at all? This is a beginner's course, so I just wanted to get a feel for where we are. If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to tell me where you fall. 1, okay, no, that's fine. June, you are good company. So here's the thing. Those of you who may be a little 5s and above, this will probably be a little basic for you. We're not going to get into any hardcore designs, but the assignments are very time consuming. They're simple, but they do take a lot of time, especially if you're unfamiliar with InDesign. Now, InDesign is a very user-friendly program, but it also takes a lot of getting used to. There's some tools may be a little fickle, maybe it's just hard navigating in and out of it. So we want to get comfortable, and that's what we're going to do today is go over the tools. Hey Brenda, thanks for coming. All right, so we're just beginning, and I was kind of doing a brief overview of trying to get a feel for where everyone lies. Brenda, if you could describe or rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you fall? 10 being expert in InDesign and 1 being beginner. Have you had any experience before? None. Okay, so we've got some very basic people. I always get a mix in this class, so it's good to know, so I know how to tailor my lectures. First things first, let's talk about how we can get a good grade in this class. Now, everyone asks, well, is there any extra credit? You know, I'm a beginner, I'm not doing so hot on my assignments. How do I get extra credit? The college does not allow us to offer extra credit beyond your assignments. So even if you got a perfect score across the board, we couldn't even give extra credit, unfortunately. But here's the thing. Some students don't know that if you do more than 4 daily checkpoints per week, the rest are extra credit. So that's an incentive to get a few points. I think that's 15 points extra credit a week if you can keep up with the daily checkpoints. So make sure that you do those, and please don't miss them. I've had some students that did their assignments but didn't even do the daily checkpoints, and they wound up failing the class. They weren't always consistent with those, and so. But I've also had students who have done all their daily checkpoints, didn't do so well on the assignments, but those daily checkpoints helped pull their grade above water. So just make sure that you stay on top of those. Some are beneficial, some are more about the school and tuition and policies, but it is important to do. And I've got a little surprise for those who came today, so thank you for coming. Hey Sophia, thanks for coming in. We're just going over how to get a good grade in this class. Here's some tips that you need to know. First things first. Check the announcements. Check the announcements daily. I will be posting things, maybe some tips, tutorials, some videos, some links that you could go and some extra material to help you. Also, this is where I'll be posting crucial announcements about our upcoming holiday. We're going to have a big 2-week holiday break this mod, so things are going to be a little abnormal than usual. So please stay tuned. We might have to change up the way we do the days that we do our lectures and open labs that last week. So just stay tuned. You gotta stay. I'll keep you posted, but just keep up with what's going on by checking the announcements daily. I don't always email the class, so I won't send a mass email for every update. I'm just going to post it in the announcements. So just make it kind of a daily habit to go there. Second thing I wanted to let you guys know is the discussions. I don't know if you know it or not, but I have posted all the rubrics for the class, including the discussions. And on the discussion rubric, you are required to post by Wednesday before midnight. So your first initial post needs to be made by tomorrow. So please be sure that you do that. I know that it's hard keeping up with all the little deadlines that we have going on, but to get full credit on your discussion, you do need to post by tomorrow. And I need more than 2 posts from you a week. And it has to be on separate days of the week. This is because this is how I take attendance. Now, blinking lights. I'm going to be giving an announcement right here. I do not accept late discussions. So please be aware of that. Check your syllabus for the reasons why. Basically, because it's the way I take attendance in class, since we're online forum, we're not able to I'm not able to see who's actually coming to class and who's not. Not everyone can make the live lectures, so you are able to watch recordings. But for the discussions, everyone should be in there commenting, staying active, participating, and you get points for this. If you are not active during that week for the discussion, or you missed a post or two, or you didn't do so well, there is no makeup work on discussions and no late posts accepted. So unlike late work, you can turn in your late assignments up to 1 week late, and you get like 20% deduction on your grade, which is not bad. It's way better than a 0. So I want to encourage you guys to do that. But with discussions, I do not accept late. So make sure you stay active and current, okay? So true or false, you can turn in discussions late. False, that's right, June, thank you. That's right, Brenda, good job, Sophia, thank you. So no discussions are accepted late, we'll move on. Next one are the assignments. Now, I want to make this as easy and seamless for you as possible. I know that you have other classes you may be taking, and if not, I know we all have life. Life happens, and it's chaotic and crazy. Some of us are working full-time and being parents full-time. Some of us may have jobs that require us to work weird hours. We've got financial burdens. There's a lot going on, and I understand that. So to balance a class is a lot of work. And then when you're taking multiple classes, it's just crazy, and I understand. So I want to make this class as easy for you as possible. So the first thing that you guys are already doing is what? In class. You're in class. This is going to help you immensely, because when you come to class, I'm going to make it worth your while. I'm going to help you with the daily discussions, okay? So today, I'm going to have you pull up your daily discussions, and we're going to go through them together. We'll go over the answers, and then you can go and take them. That way you get a guaranteed 10 points that week, and it's done. So that's my gift to you and those who have stuck it out in this recording long enough to find out. Each week, I will do this to help you guys. Second, I'll be going over the assignments in depth. I will do the assignments. I'll do the tutorials and demonstrations as I'm doing the assignment. So the way that I structure my class is to have you work alongside with me. So I will ask everyone to pull up their Indesign. So if you haven't already, please get it launched. Because when it's tutorial time, I'm going to have you pull it up. I'll do a demonstration, and then I'll give you time to do it. And I really encourage those of you who are here to do it, because then we're going to share screens. So if you haven't done that before in class, it's a unique take that I do in my lectures. I'll say, okay, so for example, June, we just went over how to create a rectangle. Can you please share your screen and show me your rectangle? Or maybe I'll say, show me how to do a rectangle after I've shown you how to do the demonstration. So I want to see that you guys are grasping these concepts, because when we leave today, you're kind of on your own until Thursday to do the assignment, and then you're on your own for the weekend to finish your assignment. So I really want to make sure that you guys get what I'm talking about, and that we're helping everyone else. And don't be afraid or shy. If it's something that you don't want to do, you can message me and I won't call on you. But so many students say that it helps them, and then you get the one-on-one attention because, oh, we missed a step, let's go back. And I'm sure Johnny, who's watching from home, will have made that same mistake and need to know how to correct it. So it helps us all in the end. So if you're, like I said, if you're not comfortable with sharing your screen and working with me like that, then please just message me and I won't call on you. I've had some students do that, but unfortunately they don't do as well in class. So it benefits everyone if we all participate, but it's not mandatory. I don't want to scare anyone away from coming to class. Are there any questions so far regarding how we're going to do things? About the class at all? About InDesign? Everyone has InDesign. Everyone has a computer. We're okay there. Awesome. Okay. So I think that's it. Oh, the live lectures. You are required to watch the lectures. So if you can't attend the live lecture time, I know it's late for some of you on the East Coast, then just make sure you are required to watch the recordings. Now, some of the grading criteria in the rubrics under the assignments I'll pull from the lectures. So if you get deducted points, and just because it didn't say in the assignment, if it's in the rubric, you will get graded on those. So please make sure that you keep up with the recordings. I will know who's been watching them and who hasn't. You can't fool me. All right, so let's talk about the daily checkpoints. Everyone, pull up your home page. Can you do that for me? I'm going to share mine so we can work together. Okay, can everyone see this? And now don't go to your quizzes just yet. Let's work through these and then you can go get the right answers. Okay, you can input the right answers. Right now, let's see, we are on, let's do, Monday is closed, so there's no going back to that one. Let's do Tuesday. So if you haven't already done Tuesdays. So let's look here. Let's do this together. Does everyone have your homepage up? You can give me a smiley face, thumbs up. Okay. All right. So the question 1 for today is, how long can I receive the Pell Grant for if I qualify? Now you'll probably need to read some of this information, but I believe that it's right here in this last sentence here, up to 12 semesters. So I'm going to go ahead and take a guess here and see if we're right. Okay, seems to be correct. All right, so let's do the next one. I'm just going to blow through these. You can watch the recording if you have any questions. All right, let's do Wednesday's daily checkpoint. Okay, I will have to pay back my grant if I qualify. What do you guys think? Is this true or false? False. So let's see. Let's see if that's right. Good job. It's false. Let's try another one. Let's do Thursdays. Okay, you'll have to watch this video, and I do encourage you to do that, but the BR button takes you to what? What do you think it takes you to? It's an abbreviation for bridge, absolutely. Bridge is kind of like I don't fully understand what bridge is because I don't use it very often, but I know it's kind of a hybrid to get to folders and files that you have on your computer. We won't be using bridge in this class. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do Fridays. Okay, the space bar. The space bar temporarily activates the hand tool. What do you think? True or false? Let's try true. Let's see if that's right. Yep, that's right. Good job. And the next one. Okay, so another video that I do encourage you to go watch. The preview option. This saves your document, zooms into your document, or turns off all the guides. What do you think? Let's see if it turns off all the guides. Yep, it turns off all the guides. So watch that video and it will explain it to you. I can show it to you in class as well. Okay, so if you guys want to take a few minutes, go ahead and I'll do one more. I think we have one more, right? Sunday? Go ahead and answer those questions on your homepage if you'd like. So visiting the Career Services Division of SHARC, this is how you can find the answers. All of the following are things Career Services can assist you with, except what? I would assume it is improve your interviewing skills. Let's see if we're right. Yep. Oh, no. Correct answer is using Adobe products to create your business card. Okay, so don't answer the last one. Using Adobe. Thank you, Sophia. I should have listened to you. All right. Well, even the instructor's not perfect. There you go. All right, so why don't you guys take a minute or two and go ahead and get these daily checkpoints out of the way. I'm giving you time in class to do this. So we'll set the clock for 2 minutes. That should be more than enough to go in and answer the questions correctly. Give me a smiley face or a ready to go when you guys are done. Which ones are locked, June? Oh, all of them? Oh, no. Okay. That means I have to go in and unlock those. That'll take, let me see. Let me try right now, see if I can do it so you guys are. Okay, you know what? It's not allowed, so you can't do it until you get to that day. So, all right, so sorry about that. You'll just have to take a screenshot, watch the recording. Hopefully you guys remember the answers. Yeah, it won't allow me to unlock it until we're on that day. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well, we tried, right? Well, anyways, yeah, hopefully you wrote them down. You can take screenshots, go back and watch the recording. The recording, I wanted to let you guys know, will be up tomorrow, every Wednesday by noon. Okay, so if it's not up, and it usually is around noon. Sometimes it's a lot earlier. It just takes forever to get the large videos to upload. It takes hours. So I usually give myself a window of time. So look for it by tomorrow. Hopefully that'll give you enough time to get the checkpoints done. Okay, so let's talk about the InDesign tools. I have a video here that I want to share with you. I'll copy and paste it into the chat box if you want to save it. Let me pull it up here. And this is just going to be like a brief overview of some of the InDesign tools. And I have you watch this video. I'll go over this stuff, but it just gives you a break from hearing my voice. Sometimes you probably don't want to hear it for all 2 hours. So let's do a quick video. This one is about 6 minutes long. I'll try to do it this way. Here we go. Let me know if you can hear it.
A new document. It says create new
Can you guys hear it?
So I'm going to click on document there, and the new document panel will come up here. The document preset is set at default, and that's just your default print document. Really all this is just a one-page document. It's just a regular size page there. So you'll want one page, and the intent is for print, but if you want to do one for web design, you have that option as well. So there's print design right there. So go ahead and select OK. All right, and this opens up our panel here. So right here you can see in the middle of the screen, this is our new page here. So we can go and do whatever we may want to do. So I'm going to do a brief rundown of what you may want to do to begin your design. As you can see over here, all of this is our tool pane here. I'm going to drag this over here onto our screen so we can get a better view of that. I have the selection tool, which will just select objects on the screen. This is the direct selection tool when you want to get into more detail with finer lines and stuff like that. Right here is your page tool. This allows you to do different things with the pages you create. Type tool, your gap tool, your line tool. So let's go ahead and use our type tool here. So I'm going to select our type tool. And you can create a text box here. So I'm going to type in here test design. And then hit Command A to select all of it there. And as you can see up here, I have all my text tools up here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that text about a 36 point there. And then I'm going to center it as well. So then once we have the text there, what I love about InDesign is these, you have grids or your alignment grids. So I'm going to go ahead and make the text box to justify right there close to my text there, and I'm going to drag it in and get it to about right there to where it's surrounding my text perfectly there. So then I'm going to drag it, and as you can see that pink line pop up, that lets me know I am in the center of the page. But then if I want to drag it down here, I want to get both lines to where I see I'm right in the center of the page. So I'll drag it. There it is. So as you can see, when that's in the middle of both, that's directly in the center of your page. These are just great alignment grids to use for InDesign there. So I have my text tool, and of course I can drag it around with my selection tool. So let's try something else here. So what if we want to go and have a box? So there's a rectangle tool which allows you to have different elements there. So let's just use the rectangle tool here. So then here is the rectangle tool. I can drag it out, make it a square. So let's just go ahead and just do a rectangle there. So then I'm going to go back up and select my selection tool. And here I have here, I'm going to drag over. I'm going to select my rectangle itself, and then I'm going to drag it over and center it around my text there. So now I have a rectangle around my text, but you know what? I want that rectangle to have a color, and I want it to have a fill color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to, let's see here what I want to do. I want to go to color here, and I want that to be an orange color. So we selected an orange there out of our color panel. And I want my stroke, which all the stroke really is that's just your lines around the rectangle there. So I want it to be a straight black line there, but I want to take the weight up to about a 5 so that way you can kind of see it better. So what I'm going to do is, that's great there. That just lets me know what I'm doing. So if I want to select, I have my rectangle selected here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control click. I'm going to do arrange, and I'm going to do send to back. So once I send that to the back, that brings the text layer up on top of my rectangle. So now I have text on top of a colored rectangle.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it here just because we're running out of time. Are there any questions about what he went over? Any questions at all? Okay, not yet. He moved kind of fast. That video, he kind of moves around a lot, so it can be hard to follow. But we'll go over everything again in nice slow-mo for you guys. All right, so let's look at our screen for a minute. Does everyone have InDesign up? Okay, I'm so sorry. I thought I was, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how long I was talking and my mute button was on. Were you still able to hear? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back up. All right, let's try this again. File, new, document. This will create a new document for you. This is what we call a new document dialog box. If my sound ever goes out and you can't hear me, please say something so that I don't talk for an hour and find out that you guys couldn't hear me. To set up your new document for assignment 1, it's copying a one-page layout that has already been designed. You just need to copy it and put your own elements on the page. I'm so sorry, June. My apologies. We'll get used to each other, I promise. You do have an absent-minded professor sometimes. All right, so to set up our document, how many pages do we need? 1, absolutely. Thank you, June. 1 page. And so number of pages, this is pretty simple. If you were doing a 4-page document, you'd hit 4. In this case, we only need 1. So this is for assignment 1. Now there is, directly to the right, there's something called facing pages. Now imagine a book is flipped open. Those pages are side by side, right? That's what we call facing pages. And that's a certain type of layout that you would do for books or magazines or sometimes pamphlets or things that have multiple pages within them. So at this point, if we're doing a 1-page document, we don't need to have our facing pages selected. So go ahead and hit that checkbox there. Deselect it. We don't need that for our assignment. Okay. So with that deselected, now it's time to pick our page size. Now some are automatic, like if you were to do a tabloid page, there's certain settings that are already entered in, like letter size is pretty standard. So page size, we just need it to be letter. If we needed to enter specific dimensions, and we will, so we might want to get in the habit of entering these numbers in. 8.5 by 11 is the standard page size that our assignment calls for. So I want you to get in the habit of entering in those numbers. So 8.5, 8.5. Now you'll notice that this weird number, 66P0, what does that mean? That's something I often get asked. P stands for pica, which is a measurement. It's an increment or a measurement, a unit of measurement within InDesign. Now, I don't know, there is a mathematical equation that comes out to certain amount of picas equals an inch, or a certain amount of inches equal a pixel. And don't ask me what that is. Math was never my strong suit. I just know that if you're entering in and yours is set to picas, sometimes it's default. Whoops. Sometimes it's default, so you'll need to manually enter in the inches. So in this case, my default is set to picas. So I will want to type in 8.5 inches, or IN, and tab over. Now it will automatically convert my inches into picas for me. So it does the math, but we just need to make sure we type in the correct number. Height is 11 inches, 11 IN, and then I hit tab, and it converts my 11 inches into picas. So for the standard assignment page, we need it to be letter, and we need it to say this value here, 8.5 by 11 inches. If it converts it for you, don't worry about it. That's what it's supposed to do. There's different orientations, portrait or landscape. In this case, portrait is what we're wanting. Portrait's where everything is vertical, so it reads top to bottom. A landscape, you know, if you ever used Word, what a landscape layout looks like. Everything's kind of runs horizontal. In this case, we want to make sure the orientation is portrait. Number of columns, this is especially helpful when you're doing your newsletter flyer. I don't know if you have looked ahead, but you will have to create a newsletter, which is about 4 pages, multiple pages. And so you'll want to make sure you set up your columns this way. And if you can see on my screen, the more columns that I include, the the more columns you'll see on my page. Really, if you're not seeing this as you're making changes to your document dialog box, if your preview box is deselected, you won't be able to see changes as they appear. If you have this box checked, you'll be able to see all the changes that you're doing before you hit OK. It's kind of a little sneak preview to what your page is going to look like before you hit OK. So in this case, we don't need columns. Well, we might need, let's do 2 columns to help us. So we might want to set up a document with 2 columns. And we don't need bleed right now. We will learn about bleed next week, probably in week 3. However, bleed is important. Bleed is what we call kind of extending your background color or background objects or graphics beyond the margin of the page. And this helps it when it gets sent to the printer, when it gets cropped or cut, that you don't have a funky white border, an uneven white border around your page, or something might get cut off that you didn't intend it to get cut off. So a bleed just ensures that little bit of extra color or graphic on the page to help compensate for the printer's cutting. That way everything cuts smoothly, consistently, and it's done correctly. All right, so for now, this is the way we want our document to look. Does everyone need me to keep this up? You want to take a screenshot? Okay, perfect. So let's move on. So we'll hit OK. And this is your new document. All right, so before we jump into the assignment, we'll do the assignment in the second hour. Okay, good, Brenda, I'm glad. Actually, you know what, this would be an excellent opportunity to share screen just so we get used to it. Would everybody be willing to do that? I guess yes or no is fine. Okay, let's have Brenda go first. Brenda, I'll stop my share. If you can click that screen share button that you see on your Zoom page, let's practice, because I like to go back and forth sharing screens. This is really helpful. Yay, great job. Excellent. Okay, so as I can see, new document, 1 page, columns look great. Everything is set. Perfect. Love it, love it. Okay, just cancel. Exit. Let's see. I'll break it off. Okay, very good. Thank you. Sophia, let's have you go next. You hit that share screen button on your page and then select InDesign or desktop. Oh, yours is on another laptop. Okay, that's fine. We can move on if you're not able to get it up. Let's try June. Let's see if June can get it up. If you can get it up, Sophia, let me know. Okay, June, if you can try pushing the share screen. Looks like we have June in here twice. Oh, and you're the computer, got it. There should be just a share screen button on your Zoom screen that will allow you to select the program that you want to share. And you can either click desktop or InDesign. Any luck? Great job. Okay, so who's sharing? Is this June? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Good job. Your page looks excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so we all kind of got the hang of sharing the screen thing down. Good job. That was a good first practice round on how to do that. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to go to keep that InDesign document up. Go ahead and save it the way that you're supposed to save it for your assignment. I'm going to move on to our next slide, and then we're going to do some more tutorials, okay? Oh, let me close out of this video real quick. And I'm going to move this over. Okay, so here's a brief introduction to InDesign. Adobe InDesign Creative Cloud is a program best suited for designing and publishing layouts for magazines. Also newsletters, catalogs, postcards, brochures, basically anything you can print, you will use InDesign for. It's especially awesome with multi-page documents. Now, Illustrator and InDesign are a little different in the sense that Illustrator is used for vectors and InDesign is used for multi-page layouts. So while some can do, their roles can cross, InDesign is especially better for anything that has more than one. Okay, so this is what your workspace will look like. Not necessarily the multi-pages, but this is what one would look like if you were to set up something with multiple pages. Let's talk about the tools real quick. So let's go over the InDesign tools and their functions. You'll see a black mouse. Now this black mouse is going to be your best friend. It's used to select and move everything around. So if I wanted to click and move an object on the page, this is what my black mouse allows me to do. Does anyone know what the black mouse and how the black mouse and the white mouse differ? So basically the white mouse grabs anchor points. Do you see these little anchor points when I hover over the arrow changes on the screen? Yeah, basically the white mouse, the black mouse resizes too, Sophia, but you're right in the sense that the white mouse is used to select what's inside the frame. So pretend this picture box is my frame. I can grab these anchor points and I can do things with my anchor points that my black mouse can't do. And I'll show you more specific examples as we go on. Another tool you're going to use for assignment 1 is the type tool. You'll often hear me say create a text box. That's what I'm referring to. The type tool creates text boxes and allows you to put text on your document. The line tool is very simple to use. It's just basic shapes are on your toolbar, and the line tool is one of them. There's some other tools that we'll get familiar with as we move on. Some of these tools, we won't touch on all of them for this class. There's so many, but we will try to get familiar with them, and I'll show you which ones you'll be using most often to get through the assignments. The zoom tool is neat. It allows you to zoom in and out of a page. It's got this, what's it called? The magnifying glass. It's kind of a cool little icon to show you what these tools do. Let's take a look at fill and stroke for a minute. Do you see this at the bottom of my toolbar? Fill and stroke. So what these do is they control the color of your shape. Now in this case, if you see this border, this square that's in the front, it's got a black stroke color. The stroke is basically the border of your box, the border of your text box, or the border of a picture. And we call it the stroke. So to control the color of the stroke, you need to make sure this icon is in the foreground. The one in the background is called the fill box, and that fills in the entire box instead of just the stroke. And you can alter colors, and I'll show you in a demonstration what I'm talking about. But basically, you'll be working with this quite a bit, so we want to get familiar with that. We'll be working with type a lot, the type tool. So the type tool, we're going to learn to make a text box. We're going to learn to select the type tool, click on the point where you want the text box to start, and then you kind of drag it out. So I'll show you an example. Type tool, click, and drag. And this will create a type tool so that you can add type to it. Did everyone see that? So to access your type tool, you click the T on your toolbar. So practice this with me as we go along. You'll click once with your mouse, click and drag to any size text box you want. And then once you release the mouse, it allows you to type in whatever you want. Just like that. Now within this text box, you can highlight it, double click to highlight, or just make sure your cursor is blinking, click once and highlight. Then you can go and alter the font size as we see here. There's something called the leading. The leading is the spacing between your words. So there we go. So this is leading. Leading is the vertical space between sentences and words. Now, if I wanted to make this leading even tighter, there's some things I can do to it. And I'll show you the difference between leading and tracking. You'll hear tracking. Tracking I'll show you an example. Tracking is the space between letters. So as you can see, you can expand it so there's more space between letters, or you can tighten it so that letters are very tight. So if you hear me say adjust your tracking or adjust your leading, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Next slide. This is the stroke. We talked about line color, line thickness. You can adjust the thickness of your frame that you give around a text box or a picture box. And you'll hear us refer to this often in our assignment 1. So this is how you access it. All right, let's keep going. There are some InDesign shortcuts. I was trying to explain earlier when my mic was muted. I apologize for that. This is your toolbar here. So if you hover over each tool, it will give you the name of the tool, and it will also give you the keyboard shortcut in parentheses. So if you ever want to know how to access a tool just using your keyboard, it's more efficient, it's quicker that way, then you can get familiar with these. So just note that the quick keyboard letters bring the tools to life. So it's a real time saver if you can memorize these. But if you forget one or you want to learn one, just hover your mouse over any of the tools and it will show you. Are there any questions so far about what we're going over? All right, perfect, and we're doing good on time too. So, okay, so let's do some exercises then. Since we have some time, we'll come back and do our assignment 1. Well, let's start assignment 1 actually, because I forget that we have an assessment and an assignment. So I'll go ahead and pull up my InDesign document, share the screen. Okay, we're going to do a quick exercise here. Everybody, go ahead and download the assessment or the assignment 1 example that you can place in your document. Give me a thumbs up when you, or a smiley face when you are ready to move forward. So go onto the website, go under assignment 1, and download the picture, the example that they give you. We're going to go ahead and do some demos here and get us started on our assignment 1. So this is what it should look like. Does everyone see this? Okay, does everyone have this laid out on their page? If not, I'll show you how to place it. So for instance, let me share my desktop so you can see it. Okay. So if you have a folder, you could easily just grab the picture and drag it in. Whoops. Drag it into the gray area and click. Okay. Or you can go to File, Place, and then find where you saved it. Desktop. And it's called Smoothie, I believe. Let me see what it's called. Smoothie Week 1. There it is. And hit open. And then you'll see this little preview window of what you've selected. It's just making sure that, yes, this is the picture that you've chosen. Now you can just click once on the gray area and it will place it for you in its true size. Everything should be ready to go, like it should be 8.5 by 11 already, so no resizing or stretching is needed. I don't want to see this, and I don't want to see this, okay? It needs to be perfect placement. Now, if you happen to paste the picture and it's much smaller than you had planned, how do we resize it proportionately? Well, you hold down Command and Shift, or I'm sorry, Shift and, Command and Shift. This helps you resize something bigger or smaller by constraining the proportions. It keeps it proportionate, so all the proportions all the way around are the same. So there's no stretching, no contorting. It's all proportionate. So let me know when everyone has this placed. Is everyone at this point? All right. So our first, hey June, thanks for coming. I've instructed everyone to go to the assignment 1 and download the example. For assignment 1, we're going to get ready to tackle this monster. All right, we're going to do this in class, so work along with me. First thing you need to know is before you start any project, you need to go to Window, go to your layers. What's neat about your drop-down window menu is that everything is alphabetical. So it's in alphabetical order, pretty quick, easy to find. Once you click on layers, you'll see a layers dialog box pop up. And in this case, I had like a million pop-ups. So let me grab my layers box so you can see. Here she is. This is what it should look like. So I'm going to close out of these so there's no confusion. You should see your layers box. Does everyone give me a yes if you see your layers dialog box? Do you see it? Now, if you've never worked with layers before, it can be a little confusing, but I want to explain it in the easiest way possible. I want you to imagine an onion, how it has different layers as you peel it back, and each layer will have something different. Each layer is meant to organize your elements on a page. So layer 1 is the layer that we put our example on, right? There's nothing else on this page but this layer. So we are going to label this example. To give it a different name, you just double click on the layer and it pulls this layers option box up. Give it a name. This is going to be smoothie example. And you can even color code it if you want. It gives it a default color, so you don't have to do that. But if you're partial to pink, you could choose pink or whatever color suits you. Hit OK. So now my blue layer, this color bar to the left of my name on my layers box, if you see this blue color bar, even the bounding box around it is blue. You see this here? This is all blue. This tells me what layer I'm on. So if I get confused, if you're working with maybe 20 layers, at least you can go back and say, oh, I'm on the smoothie example page. No wonder it's not working. So you're going to create that layer. Next layer you're going to create. Click on New. It's this doggy page docky page icon here at the bottom left, I'm sorry, bottom right. You click this, you can even hover over it. It says create new layer. This layer, we're gonna need a text layer. You can label it something that you'll remember it. I'm gonna label it text. I'm gonna create another layer, double click on it, and I'm gonna layer this pictures. So you really should only have about 3 layers in your InDesign document. Any more than that probably get a little confusing. You could even have another one. No, I think you only need 3. So I want you to get your layers set up before we move forward. Whoever has this ready to go, let me know and share your screen, or tell me and we can share your screen so I can see. I'd like to make sure everyone's at this point. That's okay, Brenda. You can take a few minutes. I'll give you guys 1 or 2 minutes to kind of get your 3 layers. Remember, you double click on the name of the layer to change the name. Okay, June is ready. So June, if you don't mind sharing your screen, let me see what you've got. That was fast. You caught up quickly. Beautiful. Okay, so example. Okay, now click on your, do me a favor while we're all watching. Can you click on the eyeball to the left of your smoothie example? This eyeball represents what you can see and what you can't. So if you see the eye, that means this is a layer that you can see. This is visible. If you click on the eyeball and it disappears, that means you've hidden the layer. The layer still exists. It's just that you can't see it. It's just hiding it from your view. So just to make sure you're on the right, I just had you click it to make sure that it was placed on the correct layer. So, and it is. So good job. So click the eye again. We'll make it visible. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. All right, so your layers are good, set, and ready to go. Excellent job. So I see we have 2 Junes in here. Apologize. So June Sonier, is that right, Sonier? Did I say that right? And then June Warwick. I'm gonna have to give you guys nicknames. All right. Very good, June. Junebug, okay. Junebug, when you are caught up, you let me know. All right, anyone else want to show me their layers? Brenda, Sophia, are you guys there? Sophia, do you have your layers ready to go? A little stuck. Brenda, do you want to share your screen? I can step you through it. Oh, that's right, Sophia, I forgot. I'm sorry. You're right. Okay, so let's take a look at Brenda's here. Brenda, can you make your InDesign screen a little bigger? There you go. Okay, so it looks like you've got your 3 layers. That's excellent. Double click on the yellow one. Now give it a name. You want to name this one smoothie example. This is going to be your example page. Nothing else should be on this layer except your example page. Perfect. Now hit OK. All right, now go to layer 3. Double click on, oh, yep, exactly. Layer 3. And give it a name. You can give it a name right there. That's fine. Yep. And make one. This could be text or pictures. You just need 3 layers. So one is either pictures or text. This is just to help us organize. I don't know if you're as OCD as I am, but it does help to organize yourself. And in graphic design, you definitely have to be organized. You just got to know where you're putting things. Okay. Now go to layer 2 and do the other. And so you'll notice colors will be different because maybe you chose yellow, orange, and red. Maybe that's just how it defaulted. So don't worry if the colors are off. You can go and change that layer. It's just to show that you're on a different layer. You want colors different enough to be able to tell what layer you're on, be able to tell the difference. Excellent. Okay, so you're all caught up. Can you click the eyeball to the left of your smoothie example? Let's hide that layer. Good. That lets you know you're on the right layer. Okay, go ahead and click it. Now, as you can see, text is highlighted. You see that text layer? That's showing that if she were to add an element onto the page, she would be adding it to her text layer. Can you click on your pictures layer? Now that shows that if you add an element to your pictures layer, that's what layer it's going on. So make sure before you add an element that you're on the correct layer, okay? Because if you're on the wrong layer and you try to move something, it's not gonna move. I'll show you what I mean. Great job. Thank you very much. Who's it? Brenda? Thank you, Brenda. You did a good job. Okay, so let's go back to my screen. So you might want to pull down the picture examples that they gave you. The pictures that you're going to be needing to use, the smoothie pictures here, the strawberries, the banana, and the blender. You need to pull those down. And I believe they gave you the text as well. So pull all that stuff down as we're going through this. Now, I'm on my smoothie example. So what I'm going to do is make sure while I'm on my smoothie example and it's highlighted, I don't want my text layer highlighted, I want my smoothie example highlighted. I'm going to go up here directly at the top of my screen. I'm going to go up, and you'll see this little control panel. What this does is it adjusts the opacity or the transparency. But before I do that, I'm going to click on my picture example. You'll know that something is selected, an object or a text box is selected when you see these little white squares at the corners. These are called anchor points, and it allows you to adjust, when you hover your mouse over it, adjust an anchor point. We really don't want to mess with these too much unless we absolutely have to. But with it selected, you'll know that this picture is highlighted because you see the anchor point selected. So now I'm going to go over and adjust the transparency of my page, okay? This is crucial because if you just have it ever so slightly, if you can just adjust the opacity ever so slightly, you'll be able to tell the difference of where your designs are going to be and where the example designs are going to be. And now the example is just to help guide you to know what size this picture is supposed to be or what size the font needs to be. So I'm going to just bring the opacity down to, or you can double click in it and adjust it manually, 45%. Okay, that's probably a good starting point. So I'll let you catch up. Just make sure you're on your smoothie example. Now, if you see I'm on my text, if I'm on my text layer, oh, whoops, we forgot one thing. Next to your eye, which toggles visibility, if you go to the right of it, this box on the right, you'll see this lock symbol. This lock symbol means I'm not able to move anything on my page. And if you're trying to click and move something and it's not moving for you, you're probably going to say, what's going on here? You might want to check to make sure that layer is locked. What's nice about locking a layer is that now that I'm placing text and pictures, I don't want this background layer to move. I need it to stay in place so that everything is where it should be. So you might want to make sure you turn that on as you start placing other elements. For now though, if you ever need to unlock it, just click it. Kind of like how we can toggle visibility. Lock it, unlock it, lock it, unlock it. I'm going to lock it now that I've adjusted my opacity, okay? Lock it after you've already adjusted it. So is everyone at this point? You've got your opacity set. Okay, great. All right, so let's start with the type tool. This is probably a very simple thing to do. You grab your type tool, make sure it's selected, and then, oops, before you grab your type tool, make sure on the text layer, grab your type tool, and I'm going to click and drag. Now you'll see my red box is coordinating with the red layer, text layer that I have, so this tells me I'm on the correct layer. I'm going to click and drag right around this headline that says smoothies. Okay, you should see a blinking cursor in your text box. I'm going to type the name smoothies. If I click and drag to highlight the text, or with the cursor blinking, you can hit Command A. What that does is it highlights everything within your text box. It's a very helpful keyboard shortcut. So smoothies, I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to go to up at the top here on my character formatting controls. I'm going to make sure that my font says Times New Roman. I believe this is the font. I guess we'll find out. I'm going to do bold italic. And then I'm going to up the font size. Now you can either use the drop-down menu to select something, but sometimes you need a more custom number. Like for instance, 48 is not going to cut it. 72 almost cuts it. I need about 75, maybe 76. So I'm going to manually enter in the number and just hit enter. That looks about right. You can either click and drag with your selection tool to line it up, or with the box selected, you can use your up and down arrow keys to move it down. This gives you a more accurate read on getting close to something. And I'm going to try to line these letters up as well as I can. It may not be perfect, but what I'm looking for here is everything lined according to where the text should be. I'm going to kind of center it over the letters. You see these rulers on the left hand side here and then on the top. These are supposed to be guides. And which reminds me, if your smart guides are not turned on, you probably should. Just like in the YouTube video. If you go to View, Display, Grids and Guides, you want to make sure that your smart guides are checkmarked. You want to see a check mark next to the smart guides, because that turns them on. That allows us to align things, and you'll see those ruler guides turn on when you line something up correctly. So make sure that's on. If I click and drag on my ruler, it will bring a nice little ruler over here for me. And what I want to do with this is make sure everything is lined up correctly. Now I have my margin line here, so I'm going to make sure this is lined up. If you don't want that ruler there, you can just click it and hit delete. But it is pretty handy if you're trying to line things up at the top here and you want another box to line up correctly. These are just really nice guides to have. All right, does everyone feel comfortable with the type tool? Were you able to get smoothies laid out? It looks like I'm using a 76 font, Times New Roman. And this is bold italic. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm going to click and drag around this next text example. I'm going to highlight my text, go up to my font, and I'm just going to pick a size until it gets big enough. Oh, that might be too big. There we go. Okay, now let's see what size this could be. All right, 43 is the font. And I'm going to use my up and down arrow keys to kind of line it up. And I want to extend the end of my text box. Do you see that? As I grab my anchor point with my mouse, how it locks into place. You see that green line that aligns it to the very right of that other text box? This is telling me it's snapping it into place. This means it's lined up perfectly with the other text box. This is what I'm going to be looking for in your assignments. I want to make sure everything is lined up. Okay? To change a color on a font, you're going to click and highlight. And we're going to go down here at our fill. Do you remember our fill that we talked about? The bottom of your toolbar, move the toolbar over here. The very bottom, there's two ways you can change the color of a font. You can double click on the fill. You can give it a color and hit OK, and that will change the color. Or you can go to your drop-down menu right here at the top of your character formatting controls and click paper. That's white. This gives you what we call swatches of color. These are kind of preset swatches. Oh, your CMYK colors, black and white are there. Okay, so now that we've got the white placed, now if I ever want to see where my text is, I can just toggle back and forth on the visibility or the smoothie example layer and hide the layer so I can see where I'm at. All right, do we feel comfortable with that part so far? Does anyone want to share their screen before we go to break? Hey, Donna, I didn't see you come in. Thanks for showing up. We're just going over our assignment 1. So I've just asked everyone to bring in download the pictures and the example so we can get it placed. Okay, so does anyone want to? That's okay, June. This will be a good point for to catch up. So we'll stop here. We'll go on our 10-minute break. And then when we come back, maybe we can share screen, see where we're at. You can ask questions. Here we go. Okay, so we'll go on a 10-minute break. Go ahead and stretch your legs, catch up where we're at, and then we will go ahead and move forward. All right, and we're back. So how is everyone doing? Did you get caught up? Think so? Does anyone want to share their screen? Anyone, any brave soul? That's the spirit. Thanks, June. Okay, go for it. Great job. Look at you go. Great. So can you pull up your layers box for me? You know how to make that visible? Good. So it looks like your text boxes are on the right layer. Very good job. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share? Brenda? Oh, looks like we lost Brenda. Okay, so no one's jumping at the chance, so we'll go ahead and move on. Good job. Okay, so now it's time to place our pictures. So I've got my folder here where I've saved all my pictures, so this should be very easy. I'm going to grab my smoothie #1 picture, and I'm going to drag it into InDesign and drop it. You can either go to File, Place to place the picture, but before you do that, I apologize. I need to make sure I'm on my Pictures layer. So make sure you're on your Pictures layer. The way I knew that it was the wrong layer is my border was red, and I knew that my Pictures layer was green. So I want to make sure I'm on the right layer. Almost Christmas colors. Look at that. Okay, so I'll grab my smoothie picture, drag it into InDesign, just like that. Now, it places a lot smaller than the picture on my example, so I'm going to need to do a little resizing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drag it and lock it into place. Wait for my guides. Did you see that guide turn on, that green guide right there? I'm going to line it up. I'm going to grab the box and stretch it until it lines up perfectly. Pull this here. Okay, so now that I've done that, you can see that my box is green, but it's not filled in with the picture very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my zoom tools out of the way. I'm going to go directly up to the top and click on Fill Frame Proportionately. And you'll see that the picture fills into the frame, but it stays proportionate. Now, if you hover over any one of these, it'll give you a different way to fill the content. And if it looks blurry to you at all, just make sure it's selected and right-click on it. Oops, right-click. And go to Display Performance here at the bottom. And click on High Quality Display. And there it goes. It fixes the color. Did you guys lose me? Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say? I'll back up. I'll back up a few steps. Okay, so I'm just talking about how to place your picture. So you go to File, Place, and place your picture, or you can drag it and drop it into InDesign. I'm just taking the text box, I'm expanding it to the size of the picture on my example, and as you can see, as I've done that, my picture is still very small. So why is that? Well, that means that I have to fill the frame proportionately. So I'm going to go up at the top here. There's a little button for that. If I click it, it now will expand my picture just as like in the example. Now it looks a little pixelated, it looks a little fuzzy, so I'm going to select it again, right click, and go to Display Performance, High Quality Display. And that makes the picture more clear. So what that does is it just does a fast display, and so sometimes it pixelates the image, but if you want to see what it would look like true to life, you right click on it and click High Quality Display. So that's one picture. Let's try this again. Let's go to the other one. I'm going to grab my Smoothie 2 picture. Click and drag. Make sure you drag it to the gray area. And I'm going to drag it over, right? So it lines up perfectly. Thanks, Sophia. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on Thursday. And we'll do the same thing. I'm going to click the anchor point and kind of drag it up so it aligns perfectly. And then I'll click fill frame proportionately, and it should line it up. Now again, it's fuzzy, so I'm going to right click, display performance, high quality display. There you go. And to make sure things are lined up correctly, I'm going to hide my layer so I can make sure this is what I want you to pay attention to. Are your corners of your images touching perfectly? If they're not, if you see any of this, see, that's not correct. You need it to lock into place. That is correct. Okay? So I'll bring it back here so I can see what we're doing. On our pictures layer, we're probably going to want to put our background color. I'm going to do the background color last. All right, now we're going to do our text. Now I believe they gave you text to use. So you'll place your text. And I'm actually going to go to the website here real quick and pull the text down. You guys hanging with me? Any questions? Here we go. Here's the text. Okay, so we're going to click and highlight our first section, Smoothie Blast. All right, and here's how we're going to line it up. Now I'm going to make sure I'm on my text layer. I'm going to grab my type tool, click and drag right around the size of that text box. It looks like that. I don't want it out here. I don't want it out here. I want it right towards the end of the sentences. And then I'm just copying and pasting. You can either go to edit, copy and paste. Like I could click here, paste, or I could do Command V, and that will also paste it. So if you notice there's a return after item number, we want a space between there. It looks like the font is Arial or a sans serif font. So I'm going to do Arial, regular. And not everything will line up perfectly, but we're going to try to get it close, okay? I'm going to highlight it. Apple A will highlight all the contents, or you can click and drag to highlight your text. My text is probably more like 11 font, or well, maybe it looks like it might be 12 font. So it's 12 font. I'm going to highlight it, and right here there should be a box at the top of your screen called hyphenate. If you deselect it, it will keep from breaking up words. Let me show you, for example. See right here, that hyphen, it will hyphenate your words and wrap it around, and we don't want that. We call that danglers. We don't want danglers in our sentences. So we want a really nice clean break on, we don't want to break on the word at all. So we want a clean break on the return. So we're going to highlight this and deselect hyphenate. Okay, and now we just need to format our box. So I'm going to bring my text box down until the text lines up. Everything looks like it's good to go. I'm going to bring my text box up nice and tight. And I'm going to highlight the first sub-headline. And I'm going to go up to the top here and click on bold. And I might need to increase my font to about 14. Now, my item numbers are not sans serif. They're actually Times New Roman. So I need to change the font. You can either do that by entering it in or just using your drop-down menu. Now this needs to be formatted, so I'm just going to hit the space bar over until it lines up perfectly. And these are bolded. So we're going to make sure that's bolded. All right, so that is the first text box. It's kind of lined up, what I think looks good. And make sure you save it, obviously. Are there any questions? You guys want a few minutes to catch up, or should we keep going? Okay, so we're going to keep moving on since sounds like you guys are working away. I want to place the third picture, so I'm going to go back. I forgot to place the third picture, so I'm going to go back to my pictures layer, and you'll know it's highlighted when you see that color bar on there. And I'm going to go to my picture, drag it, and I'm going to drag it onto the gray area, and click. And it will require some resizing, but I'm going to let my smart guide snap that into place. And then I'm going to go up here and click fill frame proportionately, just like that. Now, I'm still on my pictures layer, so I'm going to select all of my pictures. You can do that by holding down Shift as you click. And that allows me to highlight all 3 pictures. Okay, you'll see that they're highlighted with the green boxes. I'm going to go over to my stroke here, and I'm going to give it a 3-point stroke. Oops. Hang on. There we go. And with all of them selected, I'm going to click on, I want a solid line. I'm going to move over here to the left. Do you see this? Click on red. It's already a swatch that's preset for us. And you'll notice the color was changed on it. So that's a pretty simple. So it's 3 points for my stroke, and the color is red. Now I'm going to make sure my layers box is back up. And where are you, layers? Here we go. I'm going to go back to my text layer. And I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm going to click and drag. Looks like it's about that size. I'm going to go back here, grab my content. I'm going to copy, Command C if you're on a Mac, Command V, or you can go up to Edit, Paste. Remember to give a return after the item number. And I'm going to highlight this. What's neat about this is you can either go to Arial and do all the font settings again, or you can click on the eyedropper tool if you highlight the text and grab the eyedropper tool on your toolbar. Let me show you where it is. Right here. And click anywhere on the font that you want to copy, and it automatically formats it for you. So it's a huge time saver. I'll highlight this. I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool, click on the bold portion that I'm trying to copy. I'm going to highlight item number, click on the bold item number. It will bold it for me. This is going to require a little bit of formatting. These are all bolded as well. So I guess I'll just copy them over. But these do need to be tabbed over so they're even. Perfect. So everything is lined up correctly. Now I can hide my layer. And everything is placed correctly. So now the only thing we're missing is the yellow background, right? And they gave us very specific CMYK color for the background. So to draw the background, you'll make sure you're on your pictures layer. If you click on your rectangle tool, or M for the shortcut on the keyboard, and you just click and drag just like you would a text box, click and drag, and you want your box to lock. Do you see those green arrows showing me everything's locked into place? And then I'm going to go over here to my fill, right here at the top, and I'm going to pick a color. It doesn't matter what color right now. We need to change this to this very specific value that they gave us, because I will be checking to make sure you did this. Colors of the background should be these values right here. All right, so I'm going to move that over so I can see them. Okay, so to change this, we're going to double click on our fill box on our toolbar, double click, and it brings up this color picker. And the CMYK values here on the right column, as you can see right here, they are the values that we're going to change. So the C should be 15, M is -20, or I'm sorry, -20, just 20. Y is 80, that's yellow. K is black. So it stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. These are just values to get this very specific color that we're wanting. And you can see that the color changed. This fill box here is split. So the box on the top is the color that it's going to be. If your values are correct, you hit OK. Grab your selection tool again. Right click, arrange, send to back. There you go. Now, if you want your back, now if you do that and you notice my text disappeared, I need to grab my text layer and make sure it's on the top of my pictures layer, just like that. And this is the point where you will hide your example. I no longer need to see that example. Now you can see that all of your work is your work. Okay? Are there any questions on how to do assignment 1? Anything you're getting stuck on? Are we good to keep going? All right, good, good. So we'll move on to the next one, which is our assessment. Now this is ad creation. There are 2 ads. Please be aware that there's 2 ads. I've had a lot of students who thought they only had to do 1 of the ad designs. No, you have to do 2 of them. So this is where you talk, where it talks about what's required. It just kind of helps you familiar yourself with the InDesign interface. There are 2 ads. You'll need to download them to your computer. Which I'm doing. And I usually throw everything on my desktop because I can clean off my desktop later, but at least I know where I've saved everything. So I've got my examples here. Now let's find the dimensions of our page. So it tells you what font to use. Times New Roman and Myriad are the only fonts that we should be using for this example, or for this ad design. So they give us very specific dimensions, and I'll show you. Okay, so you go File, New, Document, and we want, let's see, 2.375 wide, 2.375 inches. Don't forget to add inches wide, and we need 4.8125 high. 4.1825 inches, tab. So this gives you the true size. You don't need columns in this case because we're just designing an ad. We're not doing any text, or I guess columns of text like on a page. You hit OK, make sure it's portrait, Deselect facing pages, we don't need that. And we need number of pages to be 2. Remember, we're adding a second page, it's 2 ads. So if you zoom out, you can see that you have more than 1 page. So we'll do page number 1 first. Again, we're going to set this up a lot like our smoothie page. We're going to use layers. So our first ad, I'll actually do the second ad because the second ad requires, well, I'll do the first ad. We'll do this. I'm going to click and drag it in here. I'm going to resize it. So to get it resized, oops. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to kind of just bring it up here. I'm going to extend the text boxes so they're touching all corners of this page. Then instead of fill frame proportionately, because if I click this, some content gets cut off. I want to fit the fit the content proportionately. No, I want fit content to frame. That's what I want. Fit content to frame. So it might look a little stretched, but that's okay. Now we need to set up our layers. So our first layer is example. Add example 1. Hit OK. Create another layer. This will be text. All right. And I think we'll only be using 2 layers this time. So first things first, go to add example. Remember, we're going to adjust the opacity. Like that. I like about 45. That kind of tones it down for me. And I'm going to go to my text layer, okay? I'm going to grab my type tool, and this is where we're going to click and drag. We want to trace the letters as close as we can because we want it to be about the right size. And we want, let's see. So pretend let me highlight this. Let me get this bigger. All right, so I typed lowercase, which I did. If I want to go and change that without having to retype it, I'm just going to highlight it, go to type, change case, uppercase. I'm pretty simple, or I can turn the caps lock key on and it will type in uppercase for me. I'm going to go to, what was the font they said? Myriad Pro, and I want bold. And let's see. Myriad Bold Condensed is what it looks like they're using. Myriad Pro Bold Condensed. And then I'm going to just up the font until I get the right size. I'll line it up. Maybe I'll just use the bold instead of the condensed version. Let's see what that does for us. It forced me to use a smaller font, but at least we'll get it to where we want. If I hold down my command key and pull on the text box, it will stretch it for me. And this will allow me to stretch the text into place. It won't match perfectly, but that's okay. Let's learn how to draw shapes. We're going to shift gears because the second example, add example, has hearts. And I had quite a few students last mod ask me, how do you draw hearts? And we're not going to draw the hearts. In fact, we're going to just use a preset glyph is what we call it, which is a graphic image that you can place. You don't have to draw it. But we'll start with the heart first. In your toolbar, you'll notice on a few of the tools, if you see that little white arrow there at the bottom right of some of these tools, that represents hidden tools. That means if you click and hold down on that tool, it will present a menu of other tools that you can choose from. So if you see that white arrow, that means there's other tools within that tool that you can use. We want to hold down on our rectangle tool and click polygon. Okay, you'll notice your cursor changed. Click once on the canvas, and that brings up your polygon tool dialog box. You want a star, and a star has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Tab over, hit OK. Oh, sorry, I forgot to do our inset. Our inset, let's do 50%. And there's our star, okay? Now I'm going to give the star a white fill, so I'm going to go up at the top here, move my layers box down, right here, go to paper, and that now fills it into white. Okay, and I'm going to adjust the opacity. I'm sorry, I had that adjusted earlier. So I'm going to zoom in. If you hit Command plus, it zooms in. If you hit Command minus, it will zoom out. You can also use the magnifying glass to click and drag a section where it will zoom in for you. If you hold down Option and click, it will zoom out for you. If you see that plus sign, it means it will zoom in. If you see the minus sign, it means you can zoom out. It's kind of neat. So you'll grab your selection tool. Now to proportionately resize the star, I need you to hold down Shift and Alt or Option. Shift, Option, click and drag. This will allow you to line up your star. I'm going to use the arrow keys up, down, left, right to kind of get it placed right where it needs to. You can kind of stretch it if you think you need to get it to fit. Now that I have my star perfectly placed, I'm going to hold down Option, click and drag. And you'll notice these green guides automatically turn on. That means that it's helping me guide my star so it's perfectly aligned. Hold down Option, click and drag. Hold down Option, click and drag. Now I'm going to use my arrow key. What I'm going to look for in your ad design is everything perfectly spaced between each other? Is there a perfect amount of space? Is everything even and consistent? Once I have my stars placed, this is a very simple process. I'm going to zoom out here, hold down Shift and click on each star. Hold down Shift and click on each star. This allows you to select multiple objects in one move. Now I'm going to hold down Option, click and drag, and this allows me to copy all 4 stars and place them. And I'm going to kind of move it until I get that green guide showing me I'm at the center. Everything's lined up. So that's how you do stars. Let's do hearts. They're a little different, okay? I'm going to fit this to the box, click Fit Frame, Fit Content to Frame. Now, to do hearts, you could draw hearts, but they're not going to be very accurate. So what we're going to do is use what we call glyphs, which are hidden characters within a font family. So pretend you have Times New Roman or Arial. That's called a font family. Hidden characters within that font family are just other letters or symbols that you can use. And so what we're going to do is access that right now. So we're going to click and drag a text box. And I'm going to go to Type, scroll all the way down, or it's at the top, sorry. Type glyphs right here. And I'm going to make sure, I believe Times New Roman has this. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to type in Times New Roman here at the bottom. Make sure that this says Times New Roman right here. And as you can see, I've already have the heart preset, but I'm going to scroll down to make sure that we can find it together. Let's see, here it is. So at the very bottom, I mean, as you can see, it's a long list of all these little hidden characters. But when you find the heart, you just double click it. You make sure your cursor is blinking in your text box and then double click it. And it will place a heart for you, okay? Once you have that heart placed, here's another step you need to do. Go to Type, Create Outlines. This now makes it uneditable as a font, but it now turns it into a vector. So to resize it, hold down Shift and Option, and this will resize it proportionately. I'm going to zoom in, Command plus, hold down Shift and Option, click and drag. Okay, that helps me proportionately resize it. Oops. All right, there we go. So I got it roughly placed where I want it. Remember to copy and paste, hold down Option. It's gonna just click and drag. Wait till it lines up, wait for your smart guides. Click and drag. You'll almost feel it lock into place. It almost stops you from going any further. Okay, so I've got all of these placed. I might use my arrow keys to kind of adjust it. I'm gonna zoom out. Remember, you hold down Shift, but looks like I'm getting cut out. Hold down Shift to select multiple objects. Hold down Option, click and drag to copy objects. And that's how you place your hearts. The rest should be pretty simple in terms of placing text, but I just wanted to show you. Oops, I'm on the wrong. There we go. Okay, so that's how you place hearts. You go to your glyphs to do it. Now what's neat about the glyphs is once you've selected something, it shows you the recently used ones, so it keeps kind of a little library of the most common ones you've used, so you don't have to scroll every time to go find your glyph, but just know that it's at the bottom of your thing. And make sure that you're on the correct font. You want Times New Roman to get that heart. I'm sure other fonts have it, but that's just the fastest, easiest one that I know to access it. Are there any questions at this point? No questions. Okay. Or am I going too fast? I know I'm trying to blow through this quickly because we have 10 minutes left. I'll continue to design so you can see how it's done. I'll talk you through it. I'm going to grab another type tool. Make sure I'm on my text layer. Click and drag. And you don't need a text box for every line. You just need a text box for the ones that are grouped together. So this is one thought, new arrivals. Fine jewelry. I'm going to highlight this. Go up to my font here. I'm going to give it, let's do Myriad Pro first. And I want this to be italic. Let's see, bold italic. Do they have bold italic? There we go. And that way now I can adjust my font and be more accurate. So 23. I'll expand my box. That's another thing. If you see this plus sign, let me zoom in here. If you see this plus sign, that means there's still text that you can't see. So you either need to expand your box to make room, or you can create another text box by clicking on the plus sign. So we just expanded our box in this case. Now, if you'll notice, these words are a little separated. I want to bring fine jewelry up a little bit more. You can either create a separate text box for it, or you can adjust what we call the leading, which is what we were talking about earlier. You can adjust leading by going to Window, Type, Character, and then it'll bring your character dialog box right here. By adjusting the leading, you want to go to this one here at the top. It says leading. See that? Okay. And if you highlight it, or you can go down. Let's see. Highlight it, hold down Command, and you can go up or down. And as you see, my words are starting to adjust. It's about 22 on the leading. Now the font is white, so I'm going to highlight it, go to my fill right up at the top, right here, and click white. So I've got my text there. If you ever want to see how you're doing, you can hide your layer. I need to create a red banner. So I'm going to grab my shapes tool, my rectangle tool, click and drag in about the same size as this banner. And it looks like it's a red banner, so I'm going to go to the fill, click red. And one thing I did forget was on my big sail, it needs to be red as well, my font. So I forgot to do that. I'm sorry about that. So big, go. Next thing I need to do is another text box. So I'm going to drag it. So I'm trying to keep the text box roughly the same size as the font to help guide me. This one should say 60% off. This should be Myriad Pro again. And I want Myriad Pro bold or black. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is Times New Roman because it says serif font. You got to pay attention. They change it up on you. Times New Roman. No, you don't. Thank you, June, for telling me or asking. You don't need to put the at in the corners. Nope, that's just showing you that this is the example. So the at won't be in the corners. That's not necessary. That's a great question. I had some students do that last year. They thought they had to, or last month, they thought they had to include the at symbols, and it didn't make any sense. So no, you don't need that. So I'm just adjusting this font. My font disappeared a little bit, so that just means it was too big. So in this case, I'm going to hold down Command and click and drag a little bit on my anchor point to just stretch it to get it to fit where I want it. All right. So this is, I guess it's coming along. You can kind of see it. You'll see it more when we put that black background on. I like to do the backgrounds last because if you put the background on, you can't see the example behind it. So it kind of can be confusing. If you grab this text, that was a great question, June, thank you. If you ever see something like that again, please bring it up. Click and drag text box here. Okay, so I'm going to go to type, change case, uppercase. This will make all my letters uppercase. Again, it's a sans serif font, so I'm going to go to Myriad Pro, bold, and it looks like it might be more of a condensed bold condensed, and I'm going to up the font. You might have to do it manually until you get just the right size. This one's 16. And it's white, so I'll highlight it, go to my fill at the top, click on paper, click on white, draw another text box. Again, I'm just kind of tracing the size of the word. I want to keep it nice and tight. Online only. Change it to Myriad Pro. And this looks like it's regular condensed, or I'm sorry, Myriad Pro condensed. Again, I'm going to make it bigger. Like that. So everything's lining up correctly on my page. I can click out of glyphs. I no longer need glyphs. I need to change my font to white again. Now, here's the tricky part. We need to draw this box here. So first, we're going to do the text. That way we don't get confused. So I'm going to draw this text here. And Myriad Pro again. Let's see, we're going to adjust. you go. So I got it about the same width, but I do need to make it the same height. So I can either do two things. I can grab the text box and hold down Command to stretch it, or I can highlight the text and go to my character control box here. Remember, we found this by going to Window, type in Tables, Character. And we have an airport here, and it's lots of planes circling. Okay, click on Character, and then here on your vertical scale, you can adjust the height of the letters. So if you click on this, you can see my letters are now starting to adjust. And I'm not going to do it too much. I just want to line it up. So I'm going to bring it down. Might need some more. Let's try it again. Highlight it. Adjust my letters that way. There we go. Looks about right. Now I need to bring in my text box a little tighter so I can make room for the next text box. Go to Myriad Pro again. And I want Myriad Pro, just regular. There we go. Move this over. Highlight it. I'm going to change it to white. All right, and even these letters I forgot to change to white. White. Okay, now that I have my content in the box, now I need to draw the box. If you hold down on your hidden tools, let's see, on rectangle, you draw your rectangle. Let's see, where is it? Let's go to Object, Corner Options. This will allow me to round out my corners. So it gives me, on these drop-down menus, the options. So it says rounded, that's what I want. And it's about 1 pica rounded. If you click this chain link, it will link all the sides so you don't have to do them individually. If you hit preview, it'll allow you to see your corners. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I need to give it a stroke. So remember, we've been using the fill box a lot. We're going to use the one underneath it, which is the stroke. I'm going to click on white, and I want the point to be about 3. That's about right. And then I'm going to kind of line it up so it's about the right size. All right, and it looks like I have all my content, all my pictures. So I'm going to hide this layer, and now I just need to put on my background layer. All my text boxes are there. Grab my rectangle tool, click and drag. I'm going to line it up on all 4 sides of my artboard here. Go to Fill, click on Black, and I'm going to make sure my opacity is at 100. Now you're going to say, well, where are all your elements? If you click on your background box, right-click, Arrange, Send to Back. And there it is. Now you can kind of see if everything is done correctly. The only thing that's jumping out at me here is the opacity on my banner. I need to adjust that. For some reason it defaulted. Okay, and then this needs to be white. My text needs to be white. This is kind of where we have to go in and fine tune everything. And it looks like the stroke on my box is transparent as well, so I'm gonna bring that in. Now, it's kind of busy and it's hard to see or notice things. You want to make sure your stars are kind of aligned correctly. You'll see those smart guides turn in when they're aligned just as they should be. I'm going to just move them over until it clicks into place. There we go. And I'm just looking for an even amount of space between these stars. Even amount of space. And then the next thing I'll look for is I want to preview it without these text boxes. So that to do that, if you hit W on your keyboard, it will take away, it just gives you preview mode basically, and it takes away all the text boxes and ruler guides so that you can have a clean visual of what you're looking at. So by hitting W on your screen, it'll bring you back to your workspace, or it puts you in preview mode, okay? And you can work in either mode. It's just helpful to be able to see your text boxes. All right. So that concludes our lecture for today. Are there any questions on how to do something? The second ad is similar. The only thing that was different were the hearts. So you want to make sure that you do your hearts. All right, if there's no questions, we're going to go ahead and end. I did want to point out one last thing. If you ever want to know what you're going to be graded on, it's very simple. If you just go to your assignment, underneath your assignment, this is a grading rubric. Look at the point weight, look at what's required. There are no surprises. Just make sure that you double check these things before you submit your assignment. It'll be an easy way to make sure you're doing it correctly, okay? And remember, the deadline is this Saturday. I am a stickler for time, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And yeah, I hope you guys have fun with this assignment. There's a lot of cool tools you're going to be using. If you get stuck, you can email me. Bring your assignment. I forgot to tell you this. Bring your assignment to class on Thursday. Thursday is our open lab. It's not required for you to attend. It's just kind of an open tutoring session. There's not going to be a formal lesson. It's just going to be open to you to come and go as you please. You can. I've had students come in and just work the 2 hours. They don't necessarily work with me, but they just kind of come in and do their work. They have me check on them every now and then if they want. It's also an opportunity to get some one-on-one tutoring if you want some help, want to familiarize yourself a little bit more with InDesign. It's also a great way to have me critique your work before you submit it into the submission box. Because once you submit it, I'm not able to go and open it and check it again. So I'd have to, once we submit it formally, it will be entered for a grade. But at the open session, you can show me your work and I can help make changes. If you want to get a grade entered in, I would be happy to give you a grade on the spot in the open lab. Just come and have your assignment completed. I might give you some feedback on things to change, but once you make those changes, I can easily give you a grade. So it's a great way to like beat the rush. Saturday, give yourself some time. Everyone and their dog is accessing the website. So it kind of, I've had so many students email me saying, I can't upload. And it's just because everyone is doing it. So you need to make sure you give yourself some time. Give yourself a few hours and do it a little earlier in the day rather than later. And you can save yourself a huge headache when the internet starts going super slow. But I see you guys on Thursday. Email me if you have questions in between that time, and have fun with this project. This is a really cool introduction to InDesign. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Thanks, June, for coming. Thank you, everyone who's watching at home. We'll see you guys later.